Have you ever let the tarot cards make a decision for you? Hi there, and welcome to Beyond the Shuffle, a podcast where we discuss this nope. Have you ever let the tarot cards make a decision for you? Hi there, and welcome to Beyond the Shuffle, a podcast where we explore this wild ride of the human experience through the lens of tarot. I'm Adrienne Amari, your host, guide, and tarot lover. So settle in, open your mind, and let's go beyond the shuffle. So, on this week's episode of Beyond the Shuffle, we're going to start shaking things up a little bit. And I'm welcoming a very special guest, and we're going to pull a card and randomly have the deck tell us what we're talking about. But before we get into the fun, I'd like to say hi and welcome to Kate Graham. So, Kate, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on here, Adrienne. It is a joy. I am not an expert in tarot, but I really enjoy the framework. I really enjoy learning more and more about what tarot can show us, and I really like archetypes. So that's part of my curiosity for being here to explore some tarot with you. And I'm a shamanic oracle, and what does that mean? Is that I practice with some shamanic or tools relating to shamanism, cross-cultural, but I also do really like to honor my Celtic lineage and try to recover some of the lost information about some shamanic or shamanic adjacent practices that would have been in those lands. My ancestral healing story has been really beautifully important to me. So I do artist work as well, which was always part of a shaman's role actually in community, would have been like storytelling and music and all these types of things. So I do a large gamut, divination as well. So there's a lot of different things. A shamanic oracle. So oracle would be maybe someone who does future telling, but also insights into the day and spirit realm, bringing things from the non-ordinary. So that's a whole bunch of what I do on the spiritual side. And I'm also the host and founder of OracleFest, and I lead one-to-one retreats for people with a whole bunch of other healing work that I can talk about later.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I can say I've had a session with Kate before. It was super fun, really interesting. I think what
Yes,
came up
very
when
good.
we had our session together, there was some singing involved.
Was oh good. I'm glad there
Yeah,
isn't always singing involved in a session. I'm always glad when there is. That's great.
yeah, but it's really interesting. And then Oracle Fest 2, which just happened at the end of January, was also absolutely phenomenal. So I can't wait for everyone listening to be able to experience it next year well, I know there's events throughout the year, but the big one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
next year.
exactly it. There's like the big Oracle Fest, and I just call it the big Oracle Fest, and that's the end of January. And it'll be the same time every year, this big one with all the speakers all kind of converging together. But we do events throughout the year as well, and they have a lot of potence. They're kind of like these mini activations that lead into the larger kind of whole gathering part of it. That's how I see it, anyways. So it's very, very fun and
Yeah.
extremely unique space as well. Yeah, I'm blessed to be in very unique kind of work and spaces.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally. Well, and the great thing about Oracle Fest is that people can come and kind of experience different modalities and different ways of looking at spirituality. And that's why I wanted to do this kind of thing on my podcast because everyone knows I love tarot. That's no secret. And my whole theory is you can connect to the cards no matter who you are, what you've been through, what you've experienced in your life. You have experienced every single one of these cards. So whether you're super familiar with them or you're like, I don't know what any of this means, there's something in the deck to talk about. So I think that's really exciting. So I'm excited to dive in, and we're going
yes,
to approach it as what does the universe want us to talk about today?
awesome.
So we're going to pull two cards, and if you are watching the YouTube video, this is for proof that this is not pre-planned. We're doing it on the spot just to see what happens.
And
Um,
if you're listening on a podcast stream, you're just going to have to accept it and believe the unseen.
yeah, exactly, and go with it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you choose a card. Just tell me stop when you want. when there's a card that I land on that you want to see, and I will also choose a card. So we'll have two different cards to talk about. We'll start with yours, then we'll move into mine, see how they work together, see how they combine. Nothing's off the table. So are you ready?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ready.
So just let me know, say stop when you want me to stop on a card.
Stop.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, yeah, in
This
there.
guy here? Okay.
Yeah.
Pull that one out. Ooh. I am not surprised by what came out. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead. I don't want to see, so I'm gonna hold these very awkwardly and choose one here. Okay.
For everyone before this, Adrienne was like, "Oh, we're not sure if the card's going to relate or not," and I was like, "But we know it's going to relate, right?"
I'm dying though. Like of course, this is what we choose when you're here. So the two cards we that came up are the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups.
Gosh.
So
What are we going to talk about today? I wonder.
King energy, which is great. I think that's actually really nice energy to talk about. And these are both lovely kings. I would argue that the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups are both a little bit more of the feminine side of king energy sometimes because they are both receptive suits with the pentacle and the cup. So,
I never thought about that with pentacles because it's like the receiving of or the like, yeah, putting that like nurturing effort towards something in a way.
yeah,
Interesting because it's like, okay, because it's like earthy and that it has this, I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. That
So,
just blew my mind already. Podcast over. I learned a lot.
we
Thank
got our
you.
insights. Let's start with the King of Pentacles, though. I'll just give a brief description of how I would read it, but Kate, you can jump in. And if you're listening, I'm not saying that these cards have to always mean this, but if you're learning tarot, this is what you'll probably see as keywords. So the King of Pentacles is someone who's stable, secure. They have worked really hard to get where they are. They have a lot of experience. They're probably good at managing their finances. They have a good business sense. They are somebody who is willing to be generous and step up and be a leader, but they're much more like, here, let me show you how to do it. They're not going to give you all the wealth to do, like just to take care of yourself and not for you to put any effort into it. So very much like that lead by example. Yes, I'll help nurture you, but eventually you have to jump out of the nest and fly on your own kind of energy. And that's how I always see the King of Pentacles. So generally loyal, dependable, hardworking. Yeah, that's my king. How do you see him?
I love that. That resonates with me a lot too because I like value that in a leader as well. And so, King of Pentacles. I mean, I look at Pentacles. Okay, there's a whole bunch of coins, and there's a lot of like stable energy, and a king would be like really clear in his domain. And so if the domain here is like resources and material and the earth realm, I would see this as like big entrepreneur success energy because I would just see it as like CEO vibe,
Yeah.
like he's like at the top dog kind of energy. But it really makes sense to me when you say the feminine because it doesn't feel like an unstable kind of reactive mental energy. It's really
No,
just like, I got this kind of vibe was what
well,
I,
very assured. Yeah, assured and like settled
yeah,
in who he is. And it's like he knows how hard he's worked, or she. Kings don't have to be men, as we know.
as
I
I know.
feel like I have to like throw that out there. But the King of Pentacles is so assured in the expertise that he has and the effort that he's put to grow to that because he didn't start off as the king. No one handed him the kingdom on a silver platter, right? Like he worked to get there. And I think that's where that entrepreneurial energy comes from with him.
Yeah, like understanding what it takes and acknowledging it fully versus maybe like a more useful energy that might go guns a blazing.
Yeah.
So the king also to me would be of like stocks and bonds in my you know what I mean? Because like he feels like he would be like I'm seeing this through the long term. I can see further ahead than most is almost also what I kind of get with the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense for Pentacles too, because they like having that organizational feel, that planning, that like I know where I'm heading. I know that this is the goal I want to get to, and I'm going to put in the energy, the time, the resources to get there. And I think
Yeah.
it's interesting too, because a lot of people see Pentacles and automatically think money, right? I mean, it's a coin. I don't blame anyone,
Points.
but you do.
Yeah.
But I always like to say that resources, especially with the king, isn't just managing his money. It's managing his time, his energy, the output of
People
effort.
around him,
Yeah,
right? I
exactly.
see it like, oh, they're in their, leadership of community. So really, they're just like navigating resources, and the biggest resources that they sit with authority actually at a certain
Mhm. Yeah. And he's good for business. When he comes up in a business reading, I'm always like, yes, this is the energy we want.
time.
How
Absolutely.
how would you think that people could embody some more of this King of Pentacles energy if they want that in their life? Like, what would you do in this situation? I know he's come up for you before, so
King energy I'm familiar with. It's really funny to be and I feel like in a very feminine mode today. So it's
Mhm.
really funny to be like bam bam, like can't run away from the kings. But I see it as like a really healthy, like stable, take charge type of energy. And I think that's often like a really rebellious and revolutionary idea when it comes to the sensitive folk of the world.
Mhm.
Because a lot of sensitive people are not necessarily looking to acquire or to amass a certain level of authority because authority has been seen as harmful in certain directions. And like now is obviously a hugely loud time for people becoming really aware of that. And so, what I would see of like wanting more King of Pentacles energy in your life, um, it would actually be to like to come into your own long-term vision of what is possible to stabilize over time because a lot of these other things are very like kind of reactionary.
Yeah,
And King of Pentacles feels like a lot slower, sort of um,
totally.
methodical. I have this guide that I work with in my shamanic spirit team, Pranaya, and he is like a financial advisor to the Sultan. So he seems like a lot of this energy
Yeah.
in my mind because he was like real kind of like I need to have a certain level of like removal and
Mhm.
stoicism to assess things, and that's like the healthy side of the masculine that kind of like gives us this protection, and a lot of the feminine and like our intuitive side and feeling needs that
Yeah.
kind of balance. So I would see that like it's just nurturing side of you that says I know what I'm doing and I'm
Mhm.
going to see this through in the long term instead of like short gambling risks is
Yeah.
the vibe. It's like the opposite
Totally. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially when you're on a spiritual journey, the King of Pentacles energy can be difficult because
vibe.
there is a part of you that doesn't want to be distracted, how's that, by all of the material stuff that is going
New
on.
platforms and the new ideas
Yeah.
and what can you do to earn $5,000 this week, and that's like a panic short risk gamble
Mhm.
in many ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very much about, like, watering that seed to growth and nurturing it to growth, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Like, the king didn't become the king by investing his energy into these quick gains. Maybe occasionally, yes, but he's doing it all so that he has that strong foundation to build upon and that continues on. Because there is a sense of legacy here as well. Like, I always assume the King of Pentacles has gone through the whole journey of the Pentacles. So
Yeah.
he has done the legacy part, or he has realized this is the legacy that I'm building for myself, for my life, for my family, for the people around me, for my community, whatever it is. And he has that realization and that awareness in it too.
And it requires a certain layer of self-interest
Hmm.
to receive and to sit back and say like I deserve this, or I am in charge, or I'm taking charge. And each of us can be the King of Pentacles in our own life, so it's not about me
Yeah.
being the boss over others, but it is like you being the boss in your own life,
Yeah.
right? What you're taking in, it makes sense. Like if you think about the feminine versus the masculine kings, because that just blew my mind, right? I'm still like, whoa, this is awesome. The whole layer of like how to see these cards just kind of opened up to my brain. But you can see it as like it would be more of a you play defense versus offense kind
Hmm.
of energy.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're still playing
Of
and
course.
you might actually win the game.
Oh, yeah.
You're in defense mode versus the offense, like
Yeah.
the
And you're
attack.
playing the long game too, right?
That's
Like you're
it.
not,
Always
yeah.
playing the long game. I love that. I live my life on that idea. I think like I really do. There's a lot of risks that people take in entrepreneurship, and some of them pay off earlier than others,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of what I say it takes to be a good business owner is just to have this really stubborn optimism and
Yeah.
faith in efforts over time as, an equation that will not do you wrong, basically.
Well, exactly. And of course, earth energy is that stubborn energy. Think of the Taurus energy, right? It's that very grounded, stubborn, like come hell or high
Yeah.
water kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
energy,
That's
which
kind
is
of what it
great.
feels like. Yeah. Like maybe, so what would a shadow trait of the King of
Okay, like
Pentacles be?
we'll turn it upside down.
Can you bring it closer to the camera? Can I see some of the detail in it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. And I'll describe it a little bit too, just for anybody listening. So, the King of Pentacles, if you don't conjure the image up in your head automatically, like apparently I do, you have a king sitting on a throne with a castle in the background. So, castles, of course, are a symbol of security, stability, wealth, right? Because you got to have some money to have a castle. Let's be real.
Castles don't come cheap. I've been
They
trying.
don't, unfortunately. He's sitting on a throne, and you'll see it's quite overgrown. Like there's lots, that could be his robes, but there's still lots of plants and earth growing around him. His robe has a design of grapes on it. Grapes are often another symbol of abundance, too, especially in the tarot. We see that a lot, and in the Bible and lots of mythological works. He is kind of subtly just holding a coin on his knee. He's not grasping tightly onto it. It doesn't look like he's coming from a place of lack. He's just like, no, I got this. I know I got it. It's very steady, very self-assured. He has his staff in his hand, and he's just kind of looking out, I would assume, over the horizon. I feel like he's in a nice palace garden. That's how I'm seeing him. I don't know what's actually in front of him, but that's how I always imagine him. And you'll also notice that his throne has some bulls on it too. Back to that
Kind of
Taurus.
that indicating that stubborn and yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like I was kind of seeing it as like, oh, it kind of feels cluttery like
Mhm.
around him. And so I could see that maybe one of these shadows could also be like hoarding or having like so much kind
Oh,
of
for sure.
because
I
I'm
think
like, oh,
in,
that feels cluttery all at the top now,
yeah.
when you look at the card. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and as a shadow or on the reverse side, it is the obsession with wealth, with material,
Mhm.
keeping up with the Joneses. It can be gambling addiction. It can be being a workaholic. Because when he's in an upright, a good position, the king knows the balance between like, yes, I have to put in the energy to work, but no, now I'm taking time out to enjoy everything I've created and built.
And
But
that's
when,
playing the true long game. It's not this like
Mhm.
you can't sleep because there's not enough hours in the day to get all
Yeah,
your work done. Like that's not mastery. That is like
no,
flailing
yeah.
in the sea.
And that's not stability either, right? In any
No.
form, like especially in your body. Like, how imagine,
Yeah.
we've all done it. Let's be real. We've all been there. We've all done it.
Yeah.
And we know that you can't sustain it. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that hustle mindset is a really outdated kind of like I mean, people can hustle in whatever direction they want to. I'm not really against it, that conceptually, but the condition of this is the way to do things, and the only way you'll have any success is to like that is really outdated concept, and so anyone running on that is running out of steam anyway.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
it
And
would be the reverse of energy, like reverse power.
yeah. And it's nice to kind of think about it as an outdated concept too, because I think for a long time, especially like early 2000s, mid
Mhm.
2000s, that was the key word, the tagline, the way everyone seemed to be going.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
softer. We're moving it like something better and softer. We're getting away from that.
Yeah, and it makes sense because, like, also, yeah, when you see it this way, the pressure really does feel like it's getting to the head. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it really feels painful even to look at
Well,
the,
because when it's upright, it's such like it's clear skies.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And in the reverse, it's all the junk.
yeah, it really does look like junk. That's exactly what I'm feeling. Yeah, yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because if you were to be stagnant in that energy, then you would just have junk energy. It would get
Yeah.
to your head and it wouldn't feel. That's kind of why you have to kind of keep iterating and changing things and being in new cycles versus staying at one frequency like that.
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of the time when he's coming up in this kind of shadow position, honestly, I've seen it a lot in relationship readings, is when there is a partner who is very controlling of the finances. Because
Mhm.
the king upright knows when to invest and what to invest in, and he understands that you can't take it to the grave. Like earning it to enjoy it. Like part of the receivership is like, okay, I've received it. Now what can I do with it? It's not, I'm gonna hold on to it all and sit here like a dragon. I don't know.
No, it's
Right?
totally dragon energy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like
To just
hoarding
sit
it all and
dormant.
just,
Yeah.
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 And then when it's reversed like this, we get that I'm just gonna hold on to everything I've got, where I
Mhm.
have no space for anything else.
You know, what's interesting is like in my mind, I looking at the back of his chair, it almost looks like a bat. Like it almost looks like
It
a
does.
bat.
It does.
Which kind of also feels of that like clinging or hanging on to
Mhm.
stuff. It's like
Yeah.
the yeah, almost what's like the depth and meaning of pentacle and energy of resources or and I would also like to add, I love what you added earlier about it not always being like about money and to think of like different ways that that energy can translate.
Mhm.
And I really like to think of an abundance of opportunity being possible as well. And I don't think a lot of people really self recognize because it's a very intangible idea, the idea of
Yeah.
opportunities opening up. But I'm like a queen or king of, I'm a king. I'm a king energy of
You
finding
are. You
opportunities.
are.
They just show up and life is really beautiful in that way. And I think if I were to just stay in that, I would actually get bored. There's the surprise of it and the delight of it and the
Mhm.
gratitude of it is more about the like, okay, looking ahead, future vision, and
Yes.
it doesn't. I can see how it could quickly lean into that opposite energy if you stayed stagnant in it for too long.
I think so too. Yeah, and I love that idea of opportunity because, like you said, it's not tangible. And
Yeah, it's hard to read.
and I think when we think of resources, we think of things that we can get. Like even though time isn't tangible, we have a measurement for it,
Totally, totally.
right?
Yeah.
Or energy, like our body feels tired, right? So there's again a measurement for it, even though it's not a tangible thing per se. But
Yeah, but you can definitely
yeah,
measure the physical exertion, like what's possible. If you're looking for workout gains, you can use
yeah,
tentacles for that idea as well, right? Because it's like a resource of
yes,
physical energy. But yeah, opportunity is a difficult because you just have to celebrate each one and recognize them as meaningful. And to not
yeah.
recognize things as meaningful is really where you're going to lose resources as well.
Exactly. And I love that and I love the gratitude piece because I do feel like the King of Pentacles, he is generous, he is kind. He's not stupid. Like he's not going to
Mhm.
waste his resources on people that he knows won't receive it in a way that is meaningful. But I think he gets to where he gets because he understands the gratitude piece as well.
And like you said earlier, I just want to reiterate because I feel like it makes so much sense too, is that he knows what it takes to get
Mhm.
to where he is now. And
Yeah.
so he's not precious about it, but he also stands strong.
Yes. Yeah. And it is a
Yeah,
very strong, stable energy, which I like. Like it's very much that bull. I don't know.
yeah,
I just yeah. My
definitely.
favorite tarot deck, which again, if anyone's listening, probably has heard me talk about this more than once. The Prisma Visions Tarot, the King of Pentacles in that deck is literally doing a handstand by holding on to the bull's horns.
Yeah, that's really funny. I have a shamanic journey where I kid you not. It's almost like you just half described it. It's because I was working with, it's more so though, like buffalo energy is what I've been working with, but still we have this like bull kind
Yeah.
of concept, right? And the buffalo is abundance and resources. It's very much Pentacles energy. If you were to
Yeah.
pick an animal for like Pentacles and for King of Pentacles, a buffalo probably actually makes a lot of sense,
Love it. I love that.
right? It kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, that actually sort of fits. And buffalo was one of these power animals that I was working with for a number of years, still is part of my team. They don't leave you necessarily, but was like a big feature. And there's this one time I walked up to him and I realized that it had been a while and I was like worried that I was going to get scolded for taking so long for not coming back to him. And he looked at me and started like kicking, getting excited. And I got onto his back and he let us out into galactic space, like went on this crazy space journey, which felt so celebratory because every single time I'd seen him, he'd been so land based, so immoving, so stubborn, so literally never moved ever in any vision that I'd had of him. until that moment. And it was like this such a celebratory grabbing the bull by the horns. And I was like flying off almost, but I knew I was safe.
Hanging on for dear life.
It was such a thrill. It was so amazing, right? And then I was like, wow, this can actually be fun and this can be thrilling. And I can actually soar and really enjoy this sort of in a lighter way
Yeah.
versus how I've been seeing it, which is driving into the ground in some kind of fashion before. So a really beautiful kind of mind opening King of Pentacles journey.
Yeah, I love that. I love that kind of journey too, because I think even the freedom from it is very much King of Pentacles energy, because he is
Exactly.
free to enjoy the fruits of his labor. He has,
That is the thing, is like my body didn't remember that feeling in some kind
yeah,
of way. It needed to. So King of Pentacles does have that. You say that because it's so light above him. It's like
yeah.
all clear in the head. I mean, that's my
And,
dream.
and I don't think it's going to get clear enough to see, but I will post a photo in the show notes for anyone who wants to go take a look. But his face is quite calm and content.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, he's like, all right, just hanging out in my garden, with all my grapes.
We did that. So
Good
proud of
for
myself.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Love that for him. Uh,
Oh, that's great.
can you think of a time in your life or a person in your life that really exemplifies the King of Pentacles?
Hmm.
And while you're thinking, I can go just to give because I just threw this question up for you.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
for me, it reminds me of my grandfather. So my grandfather was extremely hardworking. He was very good with money, but he was also very kind and very generous. He was a quiet man. He wasn't overly chatty, but I knew he was always there if we needed him. And for me, I just like that calmness that King of Pentacles, calmness in a different way from the King of Cups, who we're going to talk about after. Um, I don't know if I can quite describe it because it's a very grounded sense. It's just a very big sense of trust where it's like, we got this. Everything's going to be okay. And my grandfather had gone through a lot in his life to get to the point where he had so much stability and so much security. And even after he retired, he kept working. And I feel like that's very King of Pentacles because a lot of the Suit of Pentacles likes to do things with their hands. They like tactile experiences. And my grandfather he did real upholstery of furniture. So
Right.
taking like old beat up furniture and making it look luxurious and beautiful again. And like, how is that not King of Pentacles energy
That's
for
so King
that?
of Pentacles. I'm actually going to find it really difficult to top that because that
There's no
just feels
topping. It's all shared experience.
totally, totally. But it really, I mean, that does really embody and exemplify that in a
Mhm.
great way. It's interesting because I'm like, oh, would my father be in that kind of energy? Because he does a very steady, grounded, but I always see him very much as like the hermit, and I see him as this kind of more like inward versus kind of. I think that the King of Pentacles has a bit of like good directive sort of
Yes.
energy as well. Not to say my father isn't, but yeah, he doesn't need to boss up. It's just like not important. Um, King of Pentacles. It's interesting because I was seeing in my mind like like an earthy giant, so I was seeing more of like a mythical being versus like someone I
Perfect.
actually know. But that was like the space. Hopefully for King of Cups, I've got someone I really know.
But it's all
Um,
it's all connected anyways, right? It
yeah,
doesn't,
it is. I mean, I think it's
yeah,
a familiar feeling people can recognize,
exactly.
which is kind of like Green Giant, but like, like an earthen giant who is like kind but very powerful. Like you can't mess with giant.
Yes.
You'll get smushed, you'll get crushed by competition. There's no way through. Like, I don't think there's a way above or over the King of Pentacles in my brain,
Yeah. He
right?
feels
And so,
big in a way. Big not in size, but
uh,
in confidence and stature. If that makes sense. He seems like
like
he's
the
a
ghost of Christmas present, this kind of
yes, from the Muppets Christmas Carol specifically.
specifically. Fun, cute story is that a dear friend of mine, her whole family, so she has a very, very young one in the house, and her whole family watches and rewatches that film because it's his favorite.
That's the
And
best.
right, so at any given moment, someone could be coming in or out of a room and be singing the Muppet Christmas Carol song. It's so adorable. I love this
We would get
wholesome.
along well because I also do that at Christmas time.
And you know what? You're nearby, so I'll have to introduce you. You're actually near to each other in space. I'm not even near to you locationally, but I'll have to introduce you. That's very cute. Yeah, so I was seeing kind of this, um, and kind of, yeah, like an, yeah, earthy
I
giant
think
sort
that's a
of
great
character.
way to look at it too, because that's, again, as you know, my whole approach to tarot is being able to relate it to ways in your life that make sense. And that might be through stories and mythology. And that's perfect because that in your brain, it comes up, you're like, oh, yes, it's this energy. I know what that energy feels like in my body.
Yeah,
I know what that energy would do. Like, I know what that is. And that's how you interpret the cards in a way that's meaningful.
yeah, and I think you're very well practiced also in being able to see humans as like, oh, they're multiple
Of
elements,
course. Yeah.
right? And my brain is like, oh, I don't want to call someone this or that or this because they're kind of like a mixture of. And so I think that's why my brain goes to like the myth and
Which
story as
makes
well.
sense. Yeah.
But I could see also people who have qualities of or seasons of King of
Yes.
Pentacles. And I definitely have had a King of
Of
Pentacles
course, yeah.
phase
And
or two in
we
my life.
I hope we all have, to be honest, or if we
Exactly.
haven't yet, that it's coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Because like I can see elements of my dad in the King of Pentacles as well. I would say my dad's more of a King of Wands. Um,
And that's what I was seeing. I was seeing my
yeah.
father a bit more of the like mental kind of side. So I wasn't sure if he was more in wands or swords energy. It seems like he's more in that, and but
Mhm.
he's a kind-hearted guy. So I was like, maybe he is kind of this Pentacles vibe, and I
Yeah,
haven't seen him.
he borrows from a bit of it, and maybe there's things that he goes through or that we experience or challenges that come up where this energy comes out a little bit more because that's
Yeah,
what's needed in the time. So,
exactly. I would
yeah.
say so. The quality of my father that I can think of immediately in this is like we're driving in the car, and he says, that he's saved or worked hard enough his whole life.
Mhm.
Hey, we've been through the career seasons, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I've worked hard enough my whole life that you're not going to have to be concerned about your mother and
Yes.
I. And I was like, this mind blowing relief of, I knew that, but I also needed to know that this was not a pressure
Yeah.
I needed to carry. That was like him taking the King of Pentacles responsibility. And
Yes.
I'm happy to receive that. He's receiving my appreciation in that exchange.
Exactly. And I think especially for like a father to a child, that is such that King of Pentacles energy. He's like, I'm going
Yeah.
to take care of you by taking care of me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
That's the element that I would see in him for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
So I love that. Okay, so we've done a lot of King of Pentacles. Let's move to another king, and it's our King of Cups.
Yay.
So, King of Cups, again, just for those who are listening or watching and are like, who's this dude? He's generally calm, cool, and collected. He's great under pressure, but he is quite a sensitive king. Not sensitive in the way where he's going to cry or get upset over different things. He's very much a master of his emotions, but he is able to feel and receive all those emotions. So there's a very nice emotional maturity to the King of Cups. He's quite grounded still because kings do have that groundedness in them. But he does lean into the sensitivities, the intuition, the creativity, the heart-led decisions, maybe a little bit more than some of the other kings would. So
I love
yeah,
the King of Cups. The
me too.
sweet energy. We need more King of Cups. We need more empowered Kings of Cups.
We do. So when you see or hear about the King of Cups, what comes to mind first for you?
I really feel this like heartwarming smile kind of come across me when I think King of Cups. I think because the cups would be more in the feminine realm of like intuitive emotional state and more soft and relational kind of feeling to me. And so being in the heart, but having masterful masculine authority and power, that feels so juicy to me because it feels like the healing of our world. Like, so the King of Cups, I really do. I'm just like, oh, I love this energy. I just see how much more, beautiful the world is when more people are in that place
Hmm.
of not feeling. Because the King of Cups to me doesn't feel overridden by
No.
and I mean, I know we'll talk about the reverse, and I think that'll be a dynamic chat as well. But the King of Cups feels like, oh, I could, I could cry on the King of Cups, like doorstep, and he would give me some beautiful counsel or wisdom
Yes.
versus telling me to go fix it.
Yeah.
Like the empowerment is recognition of feeling in some
Mhm.
kind of way because he had to feel it in order for us to. It's like he's felt all the things,
Yeah.
through his life, and
Yeah.
now he comes. So I see it as like a beautiful, yeah. counselor or yeah, like a sage who gives comfort and guidance. And so it's a very special, like a spiritual healing energy to me.
Yeah. And I love that meaning for him too, like that healer, that mentor, that guide.
Yeah.
Again, where he's not here to fix you. That's not his job. Right?
Mhm.
He'll dry the tears off your face. He'll help you pick yourself back up.
Yeah.
But he'll give you the counsel, the wisdom, the advice on how you can move through it versus being like, let me fix it all for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that you are probably going to feel like safe to have emotion
Yes.
and expression and to cry. And that is such a rare thing because so many of our men ancestral, I mean, so a big part of my work has been ancestral healing and lineage healing and thinking about our whole collective, right? And I feel like these cards are really
I
showing us
was like, these are your ideal, like this together
powerful.
combined, this is your ideal client.
It is. It's my ideal client. It's my ideal husband, right? It's my ideal bestie. It's my ideal neighbor. It's my ideal girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
It's like my ideal everything really is to have these two energies more in full force and empowerment. Because I believe so much that like our whole collective is born innocent. And so we're carrying what lives in the land and in our bones. And we need help with that. And our
Yeah.
ancestors can help us with that. One of the um, one of the challenges of our whole humanity has been in the opposite energy of this,
Yes.
basically,
Yep.
right? Has been in like unruly emotions and
Mhm.
allowing us ourselves to feel like emotions don't have a place
Yep.
or they are seen as a weakness or as a threat, right? And so the
Yes.
King of Cups is like, I'm having none of that. That's not
Yeah.
belief. We don't hold those beliefs in this kingdom, right? Like that wouldn't be a factor. And that you could feel like you could cry to this King of Cups and not be taken not seriously for
Yeah.
the weight that you're carrying. He actually almost like I could see him valuing the food better because how many people are going to be upset and emotional when they don't have enough food on their plate,
Yeah.
right? And so I like the partnership of the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups because it's like they're receiving what is needed in the kingdom in a way versus like that, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of.
And there's still such a strong like leadership quality to it as
Mhm.
well, which I think that's the important part where it's like he can feel everything he has to feel. He can recognize them. He doesn't have to repress them. He can have a crappy day and then still be able to like, to regulate his system through all the stress that's going on in life. And I
Yeah.
think there's so many lessons that we can learn from that with the king because you can still be successful, but a little bit soft. Like you don't have to be hard and stone to stand up and be a leader.
In fact, that way isn't working anymore, which is actually
No, it definitely is not.
right. And it's a really rough awakening for a lot of men who have been trained, especially when we think of even just a couple generations above us, right? That there's men who, and I mean, I'm grateful to get to know and meet a lot of different types of people in the world
Sure.
living nomadically in the way that I have been. um, there's definitely a group of people who are men who have reached a certain level of like success or status and then understood that they've been putting off their emotional journey. And I think when they get to that King of Cups energy, everyone is better served because we need more of that activated in our whole collective of people. There's just been the lack of
Yeah.
that, right? And it feels like this to me feels more like grandfather, like archetypal grandfather
Hmm.
energy of kind of like when you see older men soften up because they don't have to carry so much of what they've been carrying, right? Like some many years once my father is officially a grandfather now, but you know, a few years into grandfatherhood, I think he'll soften more into King of Cups energy as like main base because he's got like a family of women. So
Hmm.
it sort of comes more naturally. When you see men in that place where they've known a lot of women, needed to care for many women throughout
Yeah.
their lives, they carry that like really gentle quality that
Hmm.
is still, you don't mess with that person. That person actually has
No.
pretty good luck. If you look at like countryside areas,
Yep.
right? Where some of these archetypes are almost like more character like and interesting
Yeah.
versus a where we're overwhelmed by the numbers of people and it's hard to categorize. We've got huge systems to try and group everyone in a city. But you know, you're in like a smaller kind of country area and everyone knows the grandfather of the people who have been living
Mhm.
around that area for time. They seem to be enjoying themselves. You know, when there's more women in their families, I think they enjoy themselves even more. They have this kind of like softer, more connected
Well,
way
yeah.
that's in balance, you know, for what we've been out of balance with.
Hmm.
in society. So part of the legacy is actually softening as a man as you get older, I think, in these times. And it's
Hmm.
never been that way. This is actually an unprecedented time because in in our lifetimes, there was still the celebration of men needing to be like hard and rigid and
Yeah.
mentally sharp and have the status and nothing else,
Hmm.
and no gripes and no complaints and no,
Yeah.
and
And you've worked hard to get there and blood, sweat, and tears. And yeah.
yes, exactly. And so very quickly in our lifetime, we've seen this major crossover happen, and it's leaving a lot of, we'll say men, but it can also just be our entire human, you know,
Yeah.
existence. A lot of us are feeling destabilized because we now need to be putting the value into emotions, intuition, our long-term vision of what's possible for our earth and our planet. We've never had that awareness before, and so it's like really thrown us for a loop. And so I'm like, I really celebrate the King of Cups for being this really, really necessary and important energy in our world today.
Well, and I think the compassion that comes with him too is so important because I
Yeah,
think there's been, it seems like a kind of a big divide between those who feel that compassion and that empathy for others and people who are just in their own little world doing their own little thing, and
yeah.
more compassion, more unconditional love, more joy of being in this world and joy of being alive, which is all of what that King of Cups embodies, is what we need, what we need more of.
And you think of like someone who's gone through feeling a whole bunch of different emotional states, even if they do it catching up after time, which happens
Yeah.
all the time. We put emotions away for safekeeping and then they come find us at
Yes.
a later date. We've got
One way or
space,
another.
right? One way or another. This is part of what's inspired me to do the one-to-one retreats, because I feel like when all those things catch up and you've got the resources and you need to get away and actually sort yourself out, and you really feel like there could be a whole other life for you that was actually feeling good finally, that's like the type of experience I want to help people with crossing over
Mhm.
into. But it comes from actually having a more full expression of your emotions from time, right? And
Mhm.
so I love the idea that the King of Cups has seen so many different emotional and relational states, is very socially aware in my mind, is
I think
very
so
like,
too. Yeah.
right, super personal, and
Mhm.
knows everyone who knows everyone and what some of their weaknesses are and tries to
Yeah.
help them
To
mitigate
navigate
them.
it. Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so even just the idea of like more people standing in their own emotional mastery and awareness in our world allows for us to see through where things are lacking completely.
Yeah.
Emotional, relational humanity. There are some big gaps in emotional and relational humanity now. They're getting exposed. So a lot of people probably are sensing that we need more leadership like this,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing that like
Exactly.
makes me very excited about King of Cups, because he only knows by feeling and by experiencing.
Mhm.
It's not a mental awareness. It's an
It's a
experienced
heart,
and
yeah, a
felt.
heart-led, heart coherence, basically.
Exactly,
Like the
exactly.
embodiment about, oh my gosh, embodiment of that. And I think too, we don't want to pretend that the King of Cups doesn't know what he's doing. Like he has a good balance between his heart and his mind, but
Yes.
he knows that the best choices that he's going to make come through that coherence.
Yeah. And actually, he's sensitive to the idea that when there is disharmony in the community suffers and the kingdom
Hmm.
suffers for it. Right. And so the only way to have a healthy and well system, an ecosystem around you, is to ensure that the people have their water and their food and
Yeah, that everyone's nurtured and cared
flows.
for in a way that allows
Yeah,
them to enjoy the life that they're living.
exactly. And the enjoying your living. If there's any words that I really want to help people with, I know you do too, because you so much enjoy tarot and the fun that it brings, and
Mhm.
I feel this way as well about the depth of life. If you can actually enjoy the depth and beauty of
Yeah,
life itself, that is such a necessary force against the
Mhm.
forces of dark or evil or
I think
lack
so
of
too.
emotion. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not saying that we have to pretend bad things don't happen. Like none of
no,
these kings are doing that. They know that people are still stealing bread. They know that wars are still breaking out in other places. Like
yeah,
they're not stupid. But you can still enjoy what you have as you have it when you have it and help that be a catalyst for little by little bigger changes in the world around you.
I'm so curious about the reverse here because
Okay,
I
let's
have
do them. Let's do
I
the
have a
reverse
story
king.
floating in. Yeah, and it's funny. I'm wondering if the story relates.
And I should describe him just a little bit here too, because I know I
Please
did
do.
with the other
Yes.
king. So same, he has a castle behind him. So he's still, again, that reminder that he has reached that level. His throne is sitting in the sea. I know, fancy. And on his throne, you can see a fish over here. His boots are actually looks like they're made of scales. So it kind of looks like he has lizard feet, but for me that he's like he can safely, comfortably, keeping his feet warm, delve into those emotional waters is how I kind of see it. His feet are dry, they're not in the water at this point in time, but he's still prepared to be able to deal with it with those scaly fish skin boots or whatever. He's holding his scepter and his cup. He looks pretty happy too. He's kind of looking off to the distance. Looks like he's making a bit of a duck face, but hey.
He's just
Posing
judging
for
things. He's like, hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
But still pretty calm. And of course, he has his comfortable robes on as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's a little more go with the flow as far as the
there's
yeah,
lots of
directing
flow
life.
going on around him too. Like there's water going up and down. I think it's water. I've always read it that way, but looking at it, it is green and blue, but
Hmm.
there is a groundedness that's necessary for dealing with your emotions in the way the king is. I think the reminder with the King of Cups is like, yes, you can be emotional and sensitive, but still down to earth.
Yeah.
Because he still very much is. So, in a negative or a shadow position, what kind of energy do we get here? Well, we do definitely get the not great at controlling the emotions side of everything.
Yeah.
We get a lot of tumultuousness in that way. And even if you're looking at the card, again, it feels heavy at the bottom, right? It feels like you're sinking or drowning because he's basically sitting on that stone. That stone is just falling down to the bottom of the water. So it
Mm.
might feel, if you're in this position, like you're desperately trying to grab a hold to control, because kings are an element of control, right?
Yeah, like I got a sense of panic immediately when you
When you've turned it over, yeah.
yeah, like the panic, like flailing type of energy, which makes a lot of sense. Like you're stranded, kind of that like isolated, emotional, irrational kind of risk sort of energy feels like it would be
Yeah.
the opposite of yeah,
And like
the reverse
that's
there.
the skill of the King of Cups is that he can still be calm and cool under that stress. And when he's reversed, that's lost.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that calmness.
Yeah.
It's a hard energy to sit in.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's all these like kind of pieces of red that
Mhm.
stand out to me only when you have it this way that weren't standing.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right. Just doing it
It,
yeah.
so it really feels like it kind of jumps out. And I mean, my background is in film, so I was a really big color geek. I used to work in art direction and make these like color palettes and design what stuff looked like. It's so fascinating how colors can make such a because here too, it's almost like the water's coming down
It's
on
like a waterfall.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a waterfall, and then it was going in different places, and
Yeah.
he didn't know where he was going, and it feels like sort of slapping, flailing sort of energy. Um, and panic is like an overwhelm of emotions. Like there's so many emotions,
Yes.
but you're not processing, mastering, holding them in the body, or making peace or grace with them, and
Hmm.
not seeing them for what they are, utilizing them. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people skip utilizing the emotions in the directions that they need to maybe go in,
Yeah.
and they
It's like,
try
oh,
and
I
just like
dealt with
push it
it.
away.
Yeah, I
I've
acknowledged it.
named it.
Bye.
Yeah, I've named it, therefore I felt it, right?
Mhm.
And that's not true at all. It's you
Yeah.
don't name a feeling and suddenly feel that, it really is like has to go in at some point. That feels like it's kind of like a bottle getting squeezed, like you can't actually.
Well, and it's funny because this way it does look very open. And again, he has an open top as well, right? And even like
Yes.
the background of his throne is very open.
Yeah, like his yeah,
But
it's
if we
funny. I
do
thought
it
that
this
was his
way, it
pulse.
feels like it's all going into his crown. Like I feel like
Yes.
he has a headache.
That's totally. And it makes sense because as the emotions don't have any place to go, the pressure rises within us.
Yeah.
That pressure, yeah, definitely.
So it's
Yeah,
really
and he would be
interesting.
feeling under pressure. He would be feeling like
Yeah.
distracted.
Well,
Yeah.
and I keep thinking of standing under a waterfall where at the beginning it feels so good and you're like, oh, I'm in this mystical thing enjoying all this water. But that when you're there
Yeah.
for too long, it starts to hurt.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then you get worried like, "Oh, can I stay in here? Am I gonna drown?" Maybe that's dramatic, but you know.
No, I think it would be dramatic. I think like the reverse of, the King of Cups would be like a dramatic emotion
Yeah.
versus like a subdued and mastered or held emotion in some kind
And
of way.
in the same way too, we're talking about it getting stuck, it could also represent the repression of and what that
Yeah,
leads to, right?
yeah.
Because it's one of two ways. You either explode with the emotional aspects of things, or you try to bottle it up and not experience it, and you burst from the inside.
Yeah,
Combust, whatever that
exactly.
word is.
I used to say, it's so funny that you say it that way because I used to say for so many years with my own feelings of, I used to have daily panic attacks, and I would describe them as internal combustion because it really felt like I was spontaneously combusting, but inside and no one could see because I was really great at holding something
Holding it all
together. And I
in.
think a lot of our like high performing, high functioning, whatever kind of labels that are given to a lot of people ends up being that's their experience, is that they're
Yeah.
actually behaving on a really like high frequency to guard or to hide from that
Mhm.
like overwhelm of emotions that is in there or
Well, it's
seeking outlets for them.
And it's funny you say that because as you're saying that, I'm thinking, "Oh, mask, mask." Like, I feel like the King
Mhm.
of Cups reversed, and I think the King of Pentacles reversed too would do it in different ways. The King
Yeah.
of Pentacles reversed would wear the mask of, "Look at everything I have. I'm doing so well. I'm doing so stable," but we know they're actually not. Whereas
Mhm.
the King of Cups reversed is wearing the mask of, "I'm okay. I'm calm. I don't have to feel anything," when again, under the surface, they're not. Like, it's boiling underneath.
And I bet there's even a lot of people today's day and age who are spiritually aware and using the labels, the identities, the
Mhm.
diagnostics as a way of saying I've mentally understood my emotions, and still that pressure is
Yeah.
rising within them. And so the King of Cups, it's like it might not be as extreme as you're worried about. It might not be exploding at others, but more so that like imploding on
Mhm.
yourself that is a volcano bubbling, waiting.
Yeah. Well, if you think of boiling water, right? Eventually the water
Yes.
gets so hot it does burn you. Like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
so it's interesting energy to look at him this way. Honestly, I
Mhm.
don't get him reversed that often in readings, whether for myself or for other people. I don't see it coming up a lot that way, but I also find that people often don't ask questions that would lend to that kind of answer coming up.
Totally. It would have to be almost like a personal insight reading about a person that
Mhm.
you're trying to understand for that to
Yeah.
show up. Whereas, yeah, there wouldn't be a lot of reasons for it to show up that way for a person.
Yeah.
Because
And again,
by
it
the time they
depends.
come to see you, they're probably not in that state.
Exactly. Or even if they're like asking about a relationship, maybe once or twice it would come up that way. But I find that the other kings come up far more frequently in reverse positions than I ever find this King of Cups.
I wonder too, because we're so in, I feel we're in a deficit of King of Cups energy in general, that we're also in a deficit of the shadow in
Hmm.
some kind of way. Like the whole energy needs to be
Yeah,
supported and inflated a bit for us to see more in general of that. We might see more of it as time goes on because it
I hope
feels
so.
yeah, and even on both sides, because sometimes you do need to have these like breakdown or chaos
Yeah.
moments, or I think after a rough King of Cups in reverse season,
Mhm.
someone then goes to become the beginner and find healing in some new path, right? If that's your crash and burn, tilting over kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And what's next? Yeah,
Well, I think it's worth mentioning too that like the King of Cups can also be women. Like it doesn't have to be, again, just like the King of Pentacles, doesn't have to be a man who's experiencing this because there
yeah,
are a lot of women who are in leadership roles that the King of Cups would be in or that would exemplify.
yeah,
Right? Like if we think
absolutely.
of like nurses, doctors, like people in those positions who are taking care of other people, that is very much what the King of Cups is about. He is doing that work.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. My sister, she's a midwife,
Hmm.
and it's in crisis moments, it's in these big birth moments, right? So you have to be quite decisive and authoritative
Yeah.
in a certain way and have everyone's best interest. Her job is to like make sure she listens to what the client, the patient is looking for in their experience, and try to honor and navigate the best she can of making sure most of that can happen as needed with medical like in mind, right?
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense for this type of energy. I can see
It does.
versus Queen of Cups might be your post birth visits. where
More
you're
like the
making sure
gentle
that
care
the
versus the
yeah,
like,
and that the
yeah,
breastfeeding is working well, and that you're
yeah,
how are things going at home, and how are they feeling, and a bit of a different, softer. It feels more counseling maternal.
yeah,
Whereas King of Cups, it does feel kind of more of that, like taking everyone's needs. You can still be in a moment of action or of heat, but
yes,
be
yeah.
tending to everyone's. Yeah, yeah. I love the King of Cups.
I do too. I think it's a really interesting way to look at him as well. So I'm going to ask my hard question again. Is there anyone in your life or a time in your life when you felt like this king was very stable, secure, there, I suppose?
Mm.
Even asking it to myself, I'm going to go with the first person that came to my mind. And this might seem out in left field, but it was my grade six teacher. My grade six teacher, for me, very much King of Cups energy. He was so kind, so gentle, but wouldn't take any crap, basically,
Mm.
from the kids. Like he still had a very steady, firm hand, but a very gentle soul. He was so creative, the most creative person I think I've ever had the experience of being taught by. And it was just amazing the worlds that he created for us in our classroom. Like he built a island for us to play D&D on, and none of us knew we were playing D&D in grade 6. But but it's like the level of care and detail and nurturing he did to make all these different experiences for us and lead us through these experiences where he never told us how we had to do anything. It wasn't like, I set this up, this is how we're playing. It was like, okay, let's explore and let's see what happens here on our island. Or if you want to write in pen, please demonstrate to me that you can write well in cursive. And he made these beautiful licenses for us all. And it was never as a punishment if you couldn't do it. It was like a privilege if you were able to.
Yes, I love that.
And I just feel like that's just so King of Cups. Like all of that feeling.
Totally, totally. It's interesting. I'm trying to think of what comes up for me with King of Cups, and I'm taken much more to non-ordinary realm. I'm relating it to a few teachers I've had too, because I think that makes a lot of sense. So we would see a lot of
Hmm.
teachers with King of Cups energy. I
Yeah,
think that like
I
is a
agree too.
really,
Because
yeah,
there's that
that's
nurturing aspect, and most teachers are, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth of why they're teaching, but I would assume that many teachers go into that profession because they do want a certain part in nourishing people or nurturing people's minds and brains
yeah.
and curiosities and
Taking
all
care
that
of
stuff.
kids as well,
Yeah,
right? Like they have to be nurturing because they're with the children
exactly.
versus some of the other kings might not be around the children as much, right? Like
Yeah.
I think it makes sense he'd be
I
King
think
of
like
Cups.
King of Swords would be like, no, thank you.
Exactly. I believe in their education from afar.
Yes. I will deal with them when they are an adult in a university, no problem. But until then.
Yes, exactly, exactly. This is like the primary school king.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's much more like kindergarten to grade 6, 7, 8. I have a similar teacher as well that stands out to me. And then there's also like bosses or coworkers or managers when I used to work at a student residence building, like a
Mm.
university student residence building, because they cared about the experience of the students and what they were going through.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with a lot of different, challenges. There's 700 students in a building, and they're all figuring out how to be an adult. Uh, Various levels of mental health situations dealt or undealt with from their home life and coming into school, and right. So there's a lot under that. So
Yeah.
King of Cups was an energy I needed for certain at that
Yeah,
job as
for
well.
sure.
So I definitely relate it there. And then I also kind of see it as like there's sort of this like figure or character almost. So like I work with Saint Nicholas
Hmm.
in my work a lot, and Saint Nicholas has this very giving and generous energy. So he would be the amalgamation of like King of Pentacles and King of
Mm,
Cups
that makes sense.
energetically, right? And so the side of Saint Nicholas that would have this King of Cups energy was that he really cared about mothers and women who couldn't be mothers and the unborn children. And, he really was tending to parts of our social structure that have been denied in
Hmm.
some kind of way. And he also like reads stories to us and would probably have this like more understanding of like myth and creation and story. And so there's actually like a writer that sticks in my head from when I was young that we went to go see. So it's like imagine sitting in kindergarten and like being at some library and watching someone read the book that they've written out to you. That to me feels very King of Cups
I feel like
energy.
that I do I love that. Like that's just like so heartwarming, so
Yeah,
gentle. And to me it
like
would be
Mr.
like,
Rogers.
yeah, yeah, or Mr. Dress Up.
Mr. Dress. Oh my gosh. These Mr. Rogers and Mr. Dressup, I
Yeah.
honestly could have a campaign. I would have a political campaign on how much I believe in the message and
Their
energy
messages,
behind,
yeah.
yeah, that this is what needs to exist out in our world today, that we're missing a bit of this wholesome, masculine,
Mhm.
compassionate, nurturance energy.
Well, and I think too, the King of Cups can still be very spiritual. Like I don't want to discount
Mm.
that part of it as well. Like he is whether it's religious, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. He can tap into that part of himself and he enjoys that part of himself and that part of his existence, but not as a way to control, domineer, or dictate to others.
And he feels it. It's almost like he'd be walking and then be like, ha ha ha, oh, that right? Like, oh, that little bird just had a message for me. How nice. That's very St. Nicholas energy as
Yeah.
well. That's why you can tell I'm very comfortable with him because I see him as so, he would be more so the type to also bless a situation
Yeah.
in the hopes that a positive and uplifting mood can actually turn things around, right?
Yes.
He's not going to war because it was his idea.
No. No.
He'd really rather reconcile.
Yeah. But I mean, if that's the energy they have to go through to come to reconciliation, then I think he would
Yes.
understand that part of it too. It's like he can see the bigger picture of all of that.
Yeah, and it's almost like his way of. So I think a lot about strategy and military kind of, partly because I had some cool history teachers that are similar to your teacher you described, who did the role playing games, D&D type style stuff for us, which I think that's a game changer. When you're getting exposed to that kind of framework, it helps you be really good at these types of healing based works later on. But yeah, I had this like similar experience, I think, and the King of Cups allows us to also get through things knowing that there's heat happening
Mhm.
around us, but we don't need to. My father, he would often say that like when you show your anger is like
Mhm.
when you've already lost,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That there's almost like that emotional mastery of staying calm under pressure
Mhm.
is a power move in some kind of way, that allows you authority in a certain
Yeah.
situation. So when
Yeah.
someone else in battle is reacting quickly, right? I have military strategist background of in my ancestry,
Mhm.
and so James Graham, he was like this celebrated great Montrose that I work with a lot. He was really brought to execution because he was like stoic in a situation, didn't like failed to show his allegiance in a way that was emphatic enough for the other side to appreciate it. But he was like, okay, we'll see how this goes because this
Yeah.
is still the right move. Overall, this is still the balanced and faith based move. And I need to be steady to my faith. So he wrote poetry. He was a military strategist. He wrote poetry, right? And then had a very strong faith. And that feels very similar to King of Cups
Mhm.
energy as well, is that you have to be like authority. You have to have like sovereignty in your own
Yes.
emotions and your own
Yeah.
beliefs. And so he's not swaying. So he, in some way, yes, he didn't start the fire, but he will see as the flames spark
Mhm.
and wash them over like as needed as well, right? Like he is this water
Yeah.
element, cleansing and cooling. That always arrives. In some war, it cools down.
Well, it's
In
so funny too
some time of
because
heat, right? It has to.
well, and as you're talking, there was just so many like heat, fire, like warm words, and like the King of Cups is that water dousing all of that, right? So that's just a
Exactly.
really cool use of words with our king.
Yeah. Well, and I think very elementally because of the
Mhm.
shamanic and nature based, work. So I do really like the idea of seeing the pentacles as earth and trees and
Mhm.
this kind of that sort of richness in vibrancy and
Yeah.
stability and energy in that way. And then, yeah, the water element. I mean, oh, we need so much of that. We need so much of that right now.
Well, it's such a good way to relate the tarot to your life, I think, as well. Like understanding, because I mean, everyone can look outside, see a tree, and get a certain emotion, feeling, thought,
Mhm.
symbol about what that means to them. And when
Yeah,
we understand
exactly.
those correspondences, it gives you such a nice extra layer of depth, especially when you blank out in a reading, let me tell you.
Yeah, go back to the basics, right? What
Yeah,
are our four elements? And then kind of you get led in some direction. Yeah.
totally. So if people wanted to embody more of the King of Cups, what's something they could do?
Come on retreat with me. Uh,
Love it.
well, I do mean that in a way because, but here's why. And you can do this with someone who isn't me. That was just too easy, too funny, too.
Set
Um,
you up for that one, didn't I? Didn't
yeah,
even plan that.
exactly. Well, that's why you laughed so much when you saw those two cards, because who
I
I
know.
love to work with and who I love to help people transform into as well, right? Is to
Yeah,
like
exactly.
to let ourselves take in more of that king energy in the cups and in the pentacles is so my vibe, right? I love business and I love emotional qualities. So the thing that I would say is like, how do you gain emotional self mastery in a way that is also feeling and relational, that is not only the mental, because that's where people are tricking it up in modern day and on social media. You're only getting this much. If you chat GPT it, you're getting mental. Sorry, baby, those aren't feelings. As great as it looks and as great as it sounds, it's coming in and leaving. And
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't feel like it's landed. And so you need actually some of that King of Pentacles energy to have like resources, to have like earth stability, to have nature connection. Yeah, turn it right side up.
You have the right side up.
To have that like nature connection. And then the King of Cups is like subconscious work, feeling and healing on spiritual levels in ways that will address emotions that have been going on. I would say looking to women and receiving wisdom that is held within them, because we have carried the cups just generationally, collectively for so much longer. And so that is a cool thing, is that we can actually learn from each other. And it feels as though this feminine, intuitive, receptive practices, anything that feels connected to that, as well connected to the idea of nurturance, of positive relationship with others, right? Which comes from our own inner work that we're doing. There's only so much therapy that you can probably do to talk and
Totally.
mentally get out. There has to be this experience of kind of coming into connection, receiving wisdom and emotions, and being able to process and be with your own in a way that doesn't scare you, right?
Hmm.
Because the King of Cups isn't scared of his own emotions at all. And
No.
that level of feeling, I think, has to be experienced versus thought about or
Or rationalized.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, or yeah, skipped over or something. As
Hmm.
you know, that's it's so easy to do that. And so I personally think that doing subconscious work allows you to bring beliefs and emotions that have been already naturally repressed.
Yep.
There's so much that we've already put away. So part of the work has to be about excavating and getting those things up and out. And then the other piece is also about like channeling into a new expression. And that to me is a really juicy and fun part of my work, which is like helping people to realize, to self realize what I'm getting a little like this doggy has a little
Oh.
alert on his collar. And so it's making a cute little sound that sounds like a little song. And so I was thinking about this actually, is like the King of Cups would be also the musician, right?
Oh,
The King of
totally.
Cups
Yeah.
would be the arts,
Artist, music. Yes.
right?
Yep.
And so we need to value the arts. This is also another big part of my activism work, is going to be in thriving within the arts. And I think like creativity and bringing back song and
Yeah.
story of our lives, right? It's one of the things I haven't described this to you yet, but in the retreats, if someone does 7 or 10 days with me, I actually create a work of art for them, a song that's
Oh,
personal to their story or something they can carry with
that's
them,
cool.
because that carries so much more depth and meaning
Yes.
than, and when people, when I do group retreats, I write little letters intuitively to them before they arrive. So they arrive, I think, like on their bed, and they go, oh my gosh, like she knew I was coming and she knew I was doing it. I don't have to explain my whole story, right?
Mhm.
I can feel it and I can be with it instead of needing to tell you all about it or needing to own the identity part of all of
Yes. Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So,
I love it.
subconscious work and softening work and healing work in that way. Like, I also think King of Cups would be most likely to take a bath at the end of the hard day or
I think so
a
too.
massage, right?
I
And
think either of these kings would actually be up for it though, because the King of Pentacles does
we
love
love
that
some
luxury, and
spas. Yeah.
there is a certain amount of luxury to like being able to like soak into a bath. Let's be real. I
They
mean,
are
it would be a
spa
boy
kids.
bath. He'd have a boat or something in there, but
It's so funny. I went to a beautiful like double bath setup years ago, and my partner at the time had a bath that was all full of beer, and I had one that was all full of roses. And I thought, well, how typical is this? Like that is so funny, and it was beautiful. Like I will say, it was like a lovely beer that had, and there's like antimicrobial properties,
Mhm.
and there's some like really interesting skin benefits,
Yeah.
and also like the hops flowers were all on top, so it was gorgeous, but so funny. But this is what I think is like Hippocrates, ancient medicine, believed that the way to good health was a scented massage and an aromatic bath every day. And so that's one of the things that I believe in on the retreats that I do is almost every day there I'm going to be doing one or both of those things, because think of, and putting it in total binary masculine kind of qualities, think of a CEO man, right?
Mhm.
Man. Oh, I've acquired a lot. Oh, I've done a lot. Even a CEO woman. Oh, I've acquired a lot. Oh, I've done a lot, right? The
Yep.
masculine energy is there no matter what. We take that person out of their normal environment, put them into softening places with water, right?
Mhm.
The bringing in the King of Cups energy, like all throughout in this way. But the luxury, like you said, of the Pentacles, and to say, I've actually received the opportunity of time and the
Yes.
opportunity of like deep growth. And
It's
you
good now.
froze. Did I freeze?
You froze.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will say
That's
the
okay.
King of Pentacles in the bath setup brings all this luxury quality as well. And
Mhm.
the earth quality, the nature connection feels like a privilege in today's times. Just to be
It
off your
does.
phone for a few
Yeah.
days,
And
right?
to not have
Is
to worry about the world burning down because you didn't do that dumb thing at work, you know?
exactly. And knowing that you cannot keep putting out people's fires if you don't have enough water in your resources. And what is water? Water is emotional, soft quality. How
Yeah.
do you do that? You go do an immersive, an intensive that brings these qualities up to the surface, right? Like hypnotherapy, bringing something subconscious up that
Mhm.
allows the emotion to be felt. Whereas before you can't feel it because you didn't know it because it was stuck in your subconscious.
Yeah.
And so
Which is fair.
get away, go to nature, sleep in a yurt and dream differently. You're going to have, do journeying. Journeying is dreaming. It's an awake dreaming state in many
Yeah.
ways. These are the qualities that we actually need so much in humanity, in our leaders,
Mhm.
especially, is to have more of the cups vibes with
Yeah.
them.
And I
Yeah,
think all of that, the King of Cups would be like so down for too.
totally. King of Cups and King of Pentacles are all about the one-to-one retreats with
Yeah.
Kate. Yeah. Because they're not also afraid of the growth that comes from receiving someone.
Yes. And I think that's a big part of it too, is we have to realize that the kings, it's not that they live without fear, it's
Mhm.
that they live despite it.
Yeah, and with it. They
Yeah.
carry it with them, like I think my fear is like a loyal companion to my growth, because there's no next level of growth and understanding, of deepening, of enlightenment, of finding
Mhm.
peace. There's no state of finding peace that doesn't first come without fear and discomfort and resistance to all of
Yep.
that. Yeah, yeah.
So
Ugh,
awesome.
I love it.
This
Great
is
card.
great. I hope I thought there were so many great insights
Yeah,
into these two cards.
me too.
So I hope everyone listening felt the same and got the same benefit out of it. And I think doing these exercises with the tarot cards, even on your own, where you take it on a brainstorm and see what roads you go down, like these cards became so deep in this conversation. It's not a card that means this and a card that means that, right? It was so full bodied, so fleshed out. And we can look at every single tarot card that way, which is so exciting.
So exciting. I love it. This was really fun.
It was. Well, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to share where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at heartsfrontier.com, like this great frontier expanse beyond our hearts. So, heartsfrontier.com. That name just hasn't gotten old for me. It just continues to describe the way that I live my life and what I'm doing. And so, very King of Cups energy. Hearts.
But also it has that stability and longevity behind it. So there you go. You got your King of Pence in there too.
All about it, all about it. And in my, what's really funny here, Adrienne, is I'm currently doing website updates. They'll be up by the time that you post this. And I'm doing website updates to focus on the one-to-one retreat work, this deeper work that I'm really longing to do, because I've done this transition in some kind of way with joining OracleFest. So people can find me on oraclefest.com as well. I host and I'm the founder, so I'm planning and creating all the next things that are coming up. And there's so much and so many different people, like you said, so many different avenues, including tarot, but also a whole bunch of different categories for people to go and explore with OracleFest. But yeah, I'm doing this update on Hearts Frontier, where my old logo had the monogram. It was like HF, and then it had a little juniper sprig on it that had little hearts in it. I loved it. I cherish this little, figure that I used to have. And now I've moved into Hearts Frontier Long Ways, and it has a little cup
Ah,
in the center. And so you wouldn't even believe that I've grown from
that's
also
so
this like
funny.
earth base to now a cup in the
Yeah.
Heart Frontier symbology. And I think it's because we're doing this shift as well
Yeah.
into the emotion state. And yet I also wanted to have the whole thing out there, like clean line, Hearts
Mhm.
Frontier. So very just tiny design
That's so
detail
funny though.
everywhere.
It's
And it was a cup. And I thought, why am I doing this? And here I am really understanding the depth of why I'm doing that.
that
Yeah.
is so I couldn't have chosen better cards for today.
No.
Like before we hit record, just for people to understand, we were thinking, should we ask a question? Should we do this? And I was like, well, let's just see what the cards want us to talk about.
I was
And
like,
I
"Oh,
think,
do you need me to provide any other context?
yeah,
Do I need to give you something about my life so that we can relate it back to what I do? No, it's all related,
it didn't
and
matter.
actually, especially, yeah, yeah,
So the cards are
absolutely,
wild. That's all I gotta say. Love it. But
they
thank
are.
you so much for being here and for taking time out of your schedule to chat with me. I've loved working with you too. We work together. I'm in Kate's business mentorship program support group.
Yeah, yeah, I love
And
helping. This is a thing I didn't describe that I do, but
no, and you should because
it's
it's a great
important.
place.
Yeah, it is. It is a really beautiful thing. So thank you, Adrian. It is the spirit-led business mentorship group. So it's mostly kind of sitting in this the king energy of saying you guys
Mhm.
actually know what you're doing, and I'll help with things that I've learned along the way of tech things and business strategy or marketing. And but a lot of the work we do is kind of mindset and emotions of like
Mhm.
the motivation, the encouragement, the accountability you need, and the mental focus and clarity that we need. And I do use my oracleness sometimes, and I do make sure we do connecting to the business as a spirit as well. But it's kind of light, and most of it really is about holding us in the here and now and in the physical
Mhm.
realm. Because so many spirit-led folk actually get away from the physical realm and
Yeah.
making peace with it and getting excited about it. So I love that. If anyone would like to join, I keep it at a really reasonable rate because I think more and more businesses need to exist that are spirit-led. And it's just a thing I love to do twice a week is to give support in this way. And I'm so blessed to be able to work with you and see your work
Thank
grow
you.
as well. So it's a really a selfish pleasure to run
I
this spirit
think for all
business
of us, I think
mentorship
we
group.
all love the support and the connection, so it's working well.
Yeah, yeah, it feels like it works well for all of us, and that's how it should work. That's how our new economies should work. It should actually benefit the all,
Yeah.
involved. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. And
Pleasure.
everyone who's listening, make sure that you give this episode a like, follow Beyond the Shuffle podcast. It's on YouTube and everywhere that you love to listen to podcasts. And I will catch you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.